I think I'm gonna complete the Pokedex today. Gotta catch 'em all. The tagline that speaks for an entire generation of fans, searching far and wide in their tenacious efforts to conquer the challenge of capturing every Pokemon, 151 to be exact. But soon that number got bigger and bigger and bigger, until eventually, we are now looking at over 1,000 Pokemon brimming with life across 9 generations, 25 years of unforgettable journeys, hundreds of games we can stop and reflect on, including all the mild frustrations they may have caused along the way.
5 Genesect and a shiny Giratina. Is there anything that you can do to help me out?
Sir, you know this is a hotline for phone sex operators, right?
Yes.
Let me get my Switch.
Now this isn't the first time I've tried to complete the Pokedex. Back in 2014, when X and Y first came out, I tried completing the Pokedex back when the total was 721. But if you look closely, that's not 721. And this is because Pokedex completion does not take into consideration the mythical Pokemon. You know, those little bastards you can only get in events at GameStop, or using one of the different methods like e-readers, bonus discs, Wi-Fi connections, going to an undisclosed location in the middle of the night with a burner phone and a currency you've never heard of. Yeah, you can trade me Jirachi for hard drugs.
Point is, there are a lot of these little bitches to collect.
And I'm gonna be the one who collects them.
So we are completing what is called a living dex. Not only catching every Pokemon, but having every single species available in the stored PC boxes. That way, if someone pulls a random number out of thin air, you could just come on over and, oh, I've got what you need right here. What are you willing to trade me for Big Balls the Munchlax?
Big balls. Talk about being modest.
He's adamant, you bitch!
To find all these Pokemon, I've got every current generation Pokemon game and almost every mainline and spin-off game dating all the way back to 1996. Of course, not every game is going to be a winner. I'm not really expecting much from Pokemon Snap besides, you know, maybe just a couple of cute pics that I found here. But we also have Pokemon Go, a full-fledged title with almost every single Pokemon readily available.
I get the feeling that this is going to take way longer than it actually should. So the first step in having a living dex is, well, of course, beating all of the games. And thankfully, I've been keeping up with the Pokemon series in the past, completing both the Gale Pokedex and the Paldean Pokedex. And, well, it looks like we're already off to a great start.
First thing on our list is we have to take every single Pokemon in all of my games and throw them into Pokemon Home. Damn it. So after updating every single copy of every Pokemon game that I have, I start moving over Pokemon from Scarlet and Violet. I never actually moved any of them over since beating the game the first time, so well, that was quicker than expected. So how about Pokemon Legends Arceus, a game with only 242 Pokemon? Surely will... Sword and Shield?
Yeah, I thought this would give us more of a challenge. At least Diamond and Pearl only give us 10.
But of course, with all of our games updated, we can't just forget about Pokemon Go.
Go f*** yourself!
Now, if you're wondering why I'm seething with anger, I've been playing Pokemon Go since day one. This is my Punchy Frog. So I'm no stranger to transferring Pokemon from Go to Let's Go or Go to Home, so long as the Pokemon Go app will actually let me sign in. I tried my email, said it didn't work. Tried contacting Niantic, they told me to go f*** myself. I tried for over 2 hours straight to try anything and everything I could to find out where in the world my Pokemon Go account went, until finally I just couldn't do it anymore. I'll get what I can elsewhere.
So I didn't get anything from Pokemon Let's Go Eevee and Pikachu because based off of everything that I've seen here, I'm fairly certain I already have all 151 Pokemon. But at this point, it is super late in the day, and after transferring Pokemon, software updates, and just a plethora of other things, I am taking a break, going to sleep, and I will start organizing tomorrow. This is gonna be really fucking boring.
And I mean obnoxiously boring. I try not to criticize the bare bones, barely functional skeleton of what's thrown together last second to create an 8 frames per second Pokemon game with the textures of a 40-year-old soup can, but there is nothing intuitive about Pokemon Home. First of all, there's no active search button in Home. I mean, you've got the filter option, but wouldn't it just be a lot easier if I could just type it in the keyboard? Now, since we have to organize all of these Pokemon in order, it's easy to just use the sort option and find the Pokemon by national Pokedex number, which is fine at first, but that option doesn't stay whenever you jump boxes. So if you're in the middle of the Pokedex and want to move all these different Pokemon around, this is the most tedious, mundane task I have ever had to do in a Pokemon game, and I caught Feebas on Route 119.
Yeah, so you were talking to me about...
Oh, but if you wanted to organize them on your phone, it's just as bad. Because on Pokemon Home Mobile, you can't actually organize them in specific locations in the box. Not to mention the fact that you can only trade on mobile and not on the Switch itself. Now, I've heard many theories on why Game Freak didn't want to do this. Pokemon doesn't want kids exposed to online interactions on the Switch. Having trading on the Switch can cause confusion between different versions, as you can't take a Squirtle and throw him into Pokemon Legends Arceus.
No, I am not trying to be a negative Chansey here, but the real reason?
So, how long does it take to organize every single Pokemon? So here we are again, organizing all of the rest of the Pokemon. I made it all the way to about 400 Pokemon in about 4 hours on the first day, so the last 600 should take me, way longer than any one man should spend organizing fictional creatures.
So, in the meantime, I decided to make a chart for all of the Pokemon that I just surprisingly still needed. Arceus I didn't actually have, and I could just go capture him in Legends at any point in time. Wooloo, of all Pokemon, I guess I just turned him into a double. Lugia, like how would I miss Lugia? It's my favorite box art legendaries, not that game, this game. I have none. Don't say it. Snuffle is my favorite Gen 7 Pokemon. Pinsir and Porygon Z is... They're two Pokemon that I use competitively in Gen 4 and Gen 6. Like, how am I missing those? Mudkip, the Pokemon that's literally always right behind me anytime I show up somewhere. Glastrier, I did not believe this is an actual Pokemon. Hold on, let me just grab him out of my party real quick. But honestly, I think we've got a pretty good list here. The Mythicals, I fear, may give us a little trouble, but I don't think that's gonna be anything a couple Reddit or Discord boards can't combat with. Ultra Beast may be obnoxious, but I think I've got my way around.
Now, if you're aware of any of the things I've gone through in the past, normally this is the part where everything goes horribly wrong, but actually, I am really glad to say that everything so far with completing the Pokedex has actually been pretty smooth.
I just spent the last 6 hours organizing that.
Okay, so I didn't do anything the next day because I did have other things to do, and then I didn't do anything the next day or the next day, so let's just go ahead and jump right into 1 month later with the first Scarlet and Violet DLC expansion, the Teal Mask.
No, I don't want to do it anymore.
You know, spending all this time moving boxes, tediously going through every single Pokemon in existence, it's just so relaxing to be able to sit down on the couch with a brand new expansion and engross yourself in... Yeah, let's get forward just a little bit more.
All right, now I'm dedicated. I've spent the last couple of weeks working on some future projects, so this has kind of been put on the back burner, but now I am back and I am dedicated. I am going to go ahead and complete all of this in 1 week and capture all of the remaining Pokemon that I need. I found some free time to organize the remaining creatures I have left. I started and finished the DLC, so I think I'm finally ready to sit down, dedicate myself, and capture every single Pokemon left that needs to be found. Tomorrow.
I caught the 3 legendaries and started knocking out the Paldean Pokedex. Have you ever noticed how the more common a Pokemon is, the harder it is to find when you actually need it? I was missing some pre-evolution, so I made some sandwiches, because I'm just really fucking horny. Transferred everything from Scarlet and Violet, and caught some DLC Pokemon from the Teal Mask to knock those out of the way. And with that being said, I have 6 Pokemon left to obtain from Scarlet and Violet, 4 of which I found after so eloquently sneaking into Lance Caster's room and stealing his copy of Scarlet, and then I proceeded to do the exact same thing that I just did in Scarlet and Violet to knock them out in Sword and Shield. And now I'm up to 963.
Now, I feel like I should mention that while this is all still going on, I am periodically dropping Pokemon in the GTS on Pokemon Home. There's a lot of Pokemon that I know I can't find, and I know I don't want to go through the trouble of moving Pokemon from 4 generations ago all the way into Pokemon Home. So, shiny Pokemon, duplicate legendaries, starter Pokemon. Anything I could trade to get some of these rare creatures, I've just been letting them do their thing in the background and tossing them on over whenever they come up. When the hell did it get so dark outside?
Hello? Hello? Do you want this Cosmog, or am I gonna have to come over there and kick your
So this woman in the DLC just gives you a Cosmog, as if the entire emotional journey we went through years ago was just a joke. But my problem lies with the fact that I have to go through the entire Crown Tundra again just to get Regia Alecki and Glasstrier. I finished the Crown Tundra DLC after a couple hours and started doing Dynamax adventures for legendary Pokemon. See, if you haven't played the DLC, the Crown Tundra takes Dynamax raids and blends the idea with rental Pokemon, where you head to the end of a cave to capture elusive legendary Pokemon like Tapu Fini, Tapu Lele, Tapu... you get the idea. So I struggled fighting Kyurem, which gave me a big brain idea. 2 switches at the same time to maximize the amount of Pokemon I can get. Meanwhile, in the world of mobile, why does nobody have a Patrat and why does nobody have a Pick-a-Peck? See, it's a little tricky because there are a handful of Pokemon out there that aren't readily available to be used in the current lineup of mainline games. You 3 can stay. So with that being said, it's time to pull out Pokemon Bank. I have 7 full generations of Pokemon behind us that we can pull from. Reminder, I got my certificate for Pokédex completion back in 2014. I keep that shit on the dashboard for the world to see. So let me just hop in Pokemon Bank to see what Pokemon I can go ahead and transfer from all of my old Pokemon games.
Oh? Oh, you up, boy. All right, so it doesn't ruin the plan, but it does make things a bit more complicated if I want to get this finished by the end of the week. The 3DS server shut down in March 2023 on my birthday of all days, so I don't really have any way of transferring all my Pokemon from this hunk of junk right here. Now, I did try asking around to a couple people to see if they had a 3DS that I could borrow with Pokemon Home, but that's all that. I'm just gonna have to come up with a better solution. Hello.
Hello?
Oh, thank goodness. Oh, I thought you were trying to f me.
That's where my good friend Shannon comes in, because she helped me secure almost half the Pokemon I still had left on my list. She helped me get some of the Pokemon from Gen 7 filled out, got me a lot of the starters I was missing. Why doesn't anybody have a damn Patrat? I mean, I know it's ugly, but it's not like they don't show up everywhere in black and white. She even had some of the mythicals, like Meloetta, a beautiful little music note that I've never had the chance to get and makes the musician in me so very happy.
Spinda, Arceus, Pignite, Patrat, Simipour, Brionne, Primarina, Tapu Bulu, Tapu Fini, Marshadow, Stakataka, Melmetal, Zarude, Walking Wake, and Iron Leaves. I have 15 Pokemon left to complete the Pokedex at this point, and I have a plan for tomorrow that can help finish me off.
Oh, you'd like that, wouldn't it?
But first, I need to catch Porygon 2. So while I do have Porygon 2 in Pokemon Home already, I don't have it in Legends Arceus, as that and Spiritomb are the only Pokemon I still need to complete the game. So I jumped into Arceus, saw that I needed 1,000 points for an upgrade, so I grabbed some parcels, and some more parcels, and some more, and some more. And then I entered Distortion, and after an hour of searching, I finally found my Porygon and went to evolve this digital little guy. And it looks like I had an upgrade the whole time.
I'm meeting God today.
So I went and got the Spiritomb Wisp so I can get this cute little guy. Check. I actually evolved Porygon because I forgot to do so yesterday in this blinding rage I was in. Double check. And then I met God, and let me tell you, I forgot to finish this game originally, but this was the greatest, pretty good, the okayest boss fight I've ever played in Pokemon.
So, here's the game plan. Upon beating Legends Arceus, I have 14 Pokemon left to complete the Pokedex. 11 Pokemon left. I just got a Brionne, Primarina, and a Stakataka through the GTS. I had to load up a few games to recapture some Pokemon because I accidentally traded Shelder, Florigato, and Alchemy, but a good friend told me that he has Pokemon available for me to trade, so if all goes well, I won't have anything else needed by the end of the day. And I know some people might say, that's kind of cheating. Why are you using your friends to get all of the Pokemon instead of capturing them yourselves? But do we forget the purpose of why Pokemon was created in the first place? Pokemon was built on the concept of trading with friends. And so while ideally I'd love to capture all of these Pokemon myself, as the years go by, it gets harder and harder to find all of these Pokemon and have to rely on other people to help support you. And with that being said, I got my Pokemon Go back!
Yeah, I have no idea what happened, but miraculously, I was able to get back into my Pokemon Go, which means Spinda, Pignite, Simipour, Patrat Bastard, all of these Pokemon could be marked off, putting us down to 7, which leaves us next with Melmetal, which if you don't know, is one of the most boneheaded Pokemon to exist in the Pokemon universe.
So if you don't know, Meltan is the pre-evolved version of Melmetal, a Pokemon that can only be obtained through the mystery box in Pokemon Go. Oh my god, I did not drop out of medical school for this. Mystery boxes only spawn by trading a Pokemon from Go into your Nintendo Switch. Once it does, you have to get 400 Meltan candies and evolved Meltan only in Pokemon Go. Which is a lot of bullshit. Thank God I already got all those candies years ago. Can you imagine if I had to get Melmetal and had to get all of those candies over and over and over and over and over and over? And now all we have to do is wait on my buddy Ryan to call me and let me know if he's got the remaining Pokemon.
Does this angle make me look like I've been tortured?
So today was not a good day, as I had errands I needed to take care of, coming soon to an episode near you. So on the next day, I finally got woken up by the call I was finally waiting on.
Hi, so this is Pokédom Incorporated. It currently shows that you have an outstanding balance of $25,000 on your account. Would you like to pay that by...
Okay, so let me get this straight. I can trade you both of the Tapus and the Marshadow, and all you want are the extra Genesects.
No, man. You don't understand. I said I don't want the Genesects. I said I want to have sex with
3 Pokemon. All that I have left are 3 Pokemon. Walking Wake, the Paradox version of Suicune, Iron Leaves, the Paradox version of Rizian, and Zarude, the ugliest monkey I've ever had the displeasure of seeing. All 3 timed exclusives, and no way for me to get these Pokemon without physically trading, so this is where we start to rely on luck.
I didn't change clothes from yesterday. What the hell am I doing?
I needed to get the word around that I was getting close to a living dex, so I needed to post on Reddit boards, on Discords, anything I needed to do to get these Pokemon. And all I have to do now is be persistent and wait. And wait. And wait. And eventually, somebody will be able to read my message and I can finally do what a young kid Zalem only dreamed of doing so many years ago. I started playing all the way back when there was 251 Pokemon, and I remember Heracross was the Pokemon I struggled with most. Then I tried again when there was 386, and never quite managed to find a few on the list. X and Y had a number of reasons why I couldn't, and I kind of lost track for a few years or so, but as much as I don't talk about it often, Pokemon is my favorite series of all time. Through the competitive scenes, movies with friends, countless memories of sharing the love of Pokemon with people that I love, this, by far, seems like a fitting conclusion to the 1,000 Pokemon journey I've slept on for so many years.
Sussy Gardevoir 591. Listen, I've got the Pokemon you need, just Zarude, but can you remind me of the other 3?
No, that's okay. I mean, Zarude, Walking Wake, and the other one.
Iron Leaves. Yeah, I have Zarude. I'll have to get back to you on getting the
No, that's okay. That's okay. Like, let me see what I've got here, and then I will get back to you.
The good news is, I do think I have a friend that has the 2 Paradox Pokemon.
No, look, that's perfectly fine. Okay, if you can just get one, that's fine. Do what you can, because I'm sure I can find the other some...
Are you still looking for those Pokemon that you were telling me about?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know I have them on my game, right? So are you gonna get the DLC Pokemon when it comes out?
Fuck off! Okay, this is like my 4th take trying to do this, so I'm just gonna go ahead and do it off cuff. So the original goal of this challenge was I wanted to get every single Pokemon in the entire living dex. I did it, I was successful. But technically, I wanted to go a step further and get every single regional variant, every single unknown, every single alternate form Pokemon that you could possibly have to truly have a 100% living dex. And then I remembered, it is impossible to have a true living dex, because if you do, you have to have over 4
billion versions of Spinda, which means if you wanted to get a living dex, a true 100% living dex, you would need every single Spinda in every single Pokemon home, which means you would need $2,140,325.37 to buy every copy of Pokemon Home on all of the Switches that you will need. And that's not including the price of the Switches. And that's a lot.